The branch grew in a dense forest overshadowed by trees greater than itself. The foliage forced it to twist and turn, stretching for the sunlight, but never quite reaching it. 6 years ago, it was cut down and tossed to the side to rot. Like miners bent on gold, the bugs bored holes through the log. The rot set in and the moisture relentlessly pursued its destruction. Fending off the bugs and moisture, the log cracked while the earth slowly swallowed it. But that was not what I saw. I saw the essence of potential. I saw a stave.
Hey Kramer, maybe you should have just called it making a bow out of firewood.
I did not hire you so that you would critique me.
No, wait!
What's up, friends? It's Kramer Ammons. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you're new, thanks for being here. I know, it made me cringe too. I'm so sorry for the intro. And for the 10% of you who are still here, let's make a ridiculously awesome bow out of a ridiculously terrible log.
This log is not only snaky, it's twisted. It's not only twisted, but bugs have bored their way into the log, basically drilling holes all throughout the log. So I know I'm going to need some sort of backing at this point. But it's so snaky and twisted, I don't know how I'm gonna make this work. So, well, I still haven't glued it up yet. So if this fails, I'm sorry. As you continue watching this video, I'm gonna go glue this bow up, although you don't know what I'm gluing it to, so I'll catch you up to speed right now. Originally, I wanted to chase a growth ring and make a really cool snaky Osage bow. But when I found out that the bugs had infested this log, there's literally drilled holes right where I would need the backing to be. So I'm gonna fill those holes with epoxy and add a bamboo backing so that I can hopefully get a working bow. Now that presents so many more problems because now I don't have a flat surface to glue bamboo backing onto. So I'm going to bend and shape this wood and then try to flatten it as much as possible on a belt sander. And then the board is still going to be curved, but hopefully the surface will be flat enough that the bamboo will adhere to it, creating one solid blank so that I can make a bow out of it. So this is a really complicated way to make a bow, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend this unless you're making a YouTube video having fun. I'm really trying my best to not screw up, so I'm applying iterative decision making, meaning I'm peeling this wood back like an onion, taking a little bit off at a time, going back and forth between the bandsaw and the belt sander to remove as many imperfections as possible. Doing this in an incremental way will give better success, because when you use power tools, it's so easy to ruin the bow right off the bat, so I'm doing my best to keep this one intact.
Maybe that's a good title. Making a bow out of terrible wood. Cass, did the power just go out? Hey, try opening the garage door. Not too far off the handle. So you want the middle of each tip to go over the center of the handle.
You break the power?
It wasn't me. I wasn't even running anything. And none of the breakers are.
I think I heard someone shouting, "The power's off." So I think it's everyone.
Yeah.
I'm attempting to steam the bow so that it'll be pliable and I can bend it into shape. That way the bowstring goes over the handle section so I can have a good flying arrow.
Not good. So that's going to continue to happen.
You have any cords over here?
At first we had a little bit of trouble with the steamer, but once we got the right nozzle on, it was smooth sailing.
This is the first time I've actually tried a steam cleaner. I'll generally boil a pot of water and route it into one of these pipes, and that works okay, but I thought it'd be interesting to try a steam cleaner. And the pipe has got really hot really quick. My only concern with this one is that this cleaner only holds 40 ounces of water. I'm not sure if that's gonna be enough to get the bow hot enough, but we'll run it all the way out, see how hot the bow is, and try to straighten it up on this form, and we'll give it a shot. There's a couple good reasons to poke a hole in this side to vent it out. One is it allows continuous flow to come through, so it's steaming it instead of a bunch of water collecting in the bottom.
And then the second thing is when this quits running, then you know your steam cleaner or your boiling pot is dry, and you don't want to heat up a dry boiling pot. Whenever
A dry boiling pot.
Kaz thought this would be a cool shot, so he wanted me to sit here and talk to you guys
Through the steam.
through the steam. Look. I didn't mark center on that. So over here, there's the holes from those bugs, those beetles. I'm gonna just fill those completely with the epoxy and hopefully that'll hold. There's another one right there. But that's why I didn't chase the growth ring, and plus the growth rings are terrible. But that would have caused a weak point. But with the epoxy and bamboo, moving it as close to the very center of the bow as possible so it's working the very least. Yeah, basically I'm just trying to make an awesome bow. Oh yeah, it's a beaut right there, folks.
If you need to make noise, Zach, you're totally good too, by the way. These ones, I'm just clamping that power lamb down because we can, but there's that little fade out there that if there's going to be a bigger glue line, it's always generally going to be there where you feathered out your material. And then we're going to introduce a little bit more reflex. We already steam bended this entire thing, but we're going to try to make this a little bit more even on either side through the glue up. So this will hold its shape because we got 2 thin pieces of material. It'll semi-hold this shape. So these 2x4s are the same length, and then I'm gonna put some big clamps on this and just pull it down ever so slightly. I don't want much deflex in this bow, but maybe just a little more than that. Do you know where big clamps are? Up there. And a tape measure. Where do you guys keep the tape measure? Don't tell Zach. So the limbs could be different lengths. The upper limb's a little longer in this case, so we're gonna go off of the handle for where we put the clamp. Not adding deflex, but I want it to come off the handle pretty straight and then curve most at the end. Make sure it's not twisted too much. I let this sit overnight. Now it's time to undo the bow off the form and see how it looks. So we're gonna get right back into this. I should be able to finish this up today. I've been working on this on and off for about a month. Maybe tomorrow, we'll see. We'll see how good this glue up is, and it's still pretty thick, so I will have a lot of tillering, but let's do this. From what I can tell right now, it's looking pretty good. I think I'm going to spend some time on the belt sander thinning this out. This is pretty much non-bending now, so let's do a little bit of reducing of the material so that we can get this at least floor tillered, and then we can get a tillering string on it and see how it's bending. But I'm gonna go clean up the glue lines, clean up the sides, make it the right width, try to follow the grain, do all of that good stuff, and then we'll floor tiller it and keep this going. Okay, so we've got a really interesting scenario going on, and that is that this limb flexes down further than this limb, which is gonna make it really, really hard to tiller. So what we're gonna attempt is to take out some of the reflex here. You could add some here or take out some here, but I wanna make it look more even. That way tillering becomes much easier. I used EA40, so it should be totally good to reheat this up again. Now I'm gonna do a method that's called cold clamping. So I'm gonna set this here and clamp the board down, and then I'm gonna heat it up with a heat gun. After it gets so hot that it hurts to touch it, I'll stop without burning the wood, and then I'll let the wood cool, and it should take out some of that flex. So from the camera's perspective, I believe you'll be able to see that this on this side is flexing really tightly right there, where it's more gradual on the other side. So we're gonna push this side down to make it even. Now, if you're trying to bend wood really, really far, cold clamping doesn't work because it'll break the wood or split it. But because this is a bow and we're bending it in the direction that we need it to go anyway when we're shooting it, it's not a problem, or shouldn't be. So let's just put that down. Always push it beyond where you want it to end because it will spring back a little bit. So I'm gonna go nearly to being flat on the table. And now let's heat this up and it should be better at least. And if not, we'll try again. All right, 30 minutes later, we're cool. Oh, I might have overdone it. Oh, the camera. That almost was really bad. It did not spring back as much as I anticipated. Oh no. I might have just messed this up. Oh man. All right, well, I said if we mess it up, we'll do it again. You know, it's still coming, reflexing gradually off the limb. So instead of bending this one a second time, I think I'm just gonna bring this side down a little bit. We're gonna apply the exact same method. And if I clamp it to the same distance down, we should have pretty similar results. That did not spring back like I thought it would. Let's give this a quick heat and we'll see how it turns out. All right, it's cooled off now, so let's release it. Hey, I think we might have a bow that is easier to tiller and will be better to shoot. We might. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, baby.
I was gonna go into a sweet montage, but just look at the major difference here. I'll show a before and an after of making the limbs equal to each other ridiculously changes the perception of how you see the bow. So if you're tillering a bow where the limbs aren't equal, then I like to rely more on math and using calipers to measure the thicknesses. Whereas here, I can use my eyes much better, I can use a tillering gizmo much better, and it just makes a major difference. So if you're making your first bow ever, try to make sure you have a symmetrical bow. Then you can make a D-style bow with much more chance of success than if you're doing a snaky bow for your first one. All right, time for the tillering montage. That's too much. See how obvious it is once you get a string on it? Way too much. Don't be mistaken, it's 3 hours later and we're basically there. We've got a pretty stinking good tiller. We're drawing it to about 43 pounds at 27 inches. I'm gonna pause there for the last inch or two because after you shoot the bow, the poundage will slightly go down a little bit more. So we're gonna leave it there just for the minute to shape the handle. And then we're gonna be able to shoot this. And I am just shocked that we've been able to mold this bow. This is the worst log I've ever worked with. There's still holes in the wood that's just filled with epoxy. There's lateral cracks in the middle of the wood. This is insane. If this ends up shooting well, I guess it just goes to show with a good backing, you can get away with a lot. Well, feels like time for shot one. This shouldn't be possible. All right, I'm gonna do a speed test, tell you all the specs, show you how the arrow's flying, and give you a big reveal. But first, I need to do final sanding and put a finish on it. We have a bamboo back, a walnut power lamination, Osage core that does most of the work, and then we just have a maple handle. Let's take a look at the poundage and the tiller real quick as we check out the specs. There's 28 inches and we are at like 42 pounds, 41 pounds. And I can draw it actually a little bit beyond. I've drawn it to 29.5 inches. Right now I have my brace height from the throat at 6 3/4 inches. Yeah, so we've got basically an even tiller right now. Let's run a quick speed test through the chronograph. I generally shoot for 10 grains of arrow weight per pound of draw weight. So this would be a 400 grain arrow. In today's case, I can't find my little scale, so we'll test a couple different arrows and see our results. This, I believe, is around 370 if I remember right. Not bad for a 42 pound bow. These arrows have 225 grain field points on, and it's right around 500 grain total weight. So this is quite a bit heavier than 10 grains per pound. This would pretty much be an accurate weight for a hunting setup for me. So let's see how fast it goes. This bow is 62 inches long. Right now I've got a D97 string on it with beaver string silencers. Great combo. All right, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I've got my mic right here. And so it's real close to the bow.
This is the noise test. This is my favorite thing about this bow. You cannot hear the bow. Like you can't hear it. It's quieter than any bow I've ever shot. It's so much louder at hitting the target than the bow releasing.
Please forgive me, I almost hit you with this earlier the other day. But here it is finished. So you've basically shot the glass harrier bow in the bones.
Right.
And started shooting like 2-3 months ago.
Yeah.
Let's see if this is even in the ballpark of those bows in your opinion.
Whoa.
What's it feel like?
Man, I don't know how to describe it. It's like
A bow.
yeah, a lot easier to pull back than
That's what I was saying.
I was thinking it would be. But yeah, I like it.
It's the same poundage as your glass harrier, and it
Is
feels
it really?
it feels easier. Oh, it's a couple pounds heavier, yeah.
It feels a lot easier.
The
Yeah.
glass harrier is 35.
35.
It's supposed to be 35. I think it's just under that.
Oh, that's right, and this is a 42.
Really? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Like how easy it is.
Shoot it again and listen to how loud it is.
Wow. That's pretty awesome.
Isn't that
It's
insane?
very quiet.
We're gonna do a quick sound comparison between the glass harrier, AKA Black Hunter bow, and the one I just made. Okay, this is noise comparison from the target's perspective. This is without question by far the best Osage bow I've ever made. And it was out of the worst type of material. And I think my lesson there is because the material was so bad, I took so much more time on the little things because I was scared it would break. And I think that extra amount of effort and the extra time I spent on this resulted in the best bow I've ever made. This bow is the smoothest and quietest bow I've ever shot. I have a new favorite bow. I'm shooting this tomorrow for Tournament Tuesday, baby. Just goes to show it's easy to blame the material, but it's less about the material and more about the bowyer.